Snow hits the window as Michael whispers, "Not tonight." But the elevator dings anyway. Security calls. She says she knows you. A child steps out. She's shaking. She's alone. She's holding something he buried 6 years ago. He freezes. She looks up. She whispers, "They told me to find you." He can't breathe. He can't speak. He can't run. What happened next changed everything. The elevator doors part with a whisper, and Charlotte steps onto the 47th floor like she's walking into a cathedral made of steel and silence. Her pink coat is dusted with snow, mittens dangling from strings sewn into the sleeves, and every head in Michael's outer office turns as if a grenade just rolled across the marble. Children don't exist here. Not in this world of glass desks and calculated transactions, where even laughter sounds like a breach of protocol. Michael's receptionist, Sarah, who's worked for him for 4 years and has never once seen him smile, stands frozen mid-apology. "Mr. Clark, I'm so sorry," security called ahead, "but I didn't think." She just walked past. But Charlotte isn't listening. Her blue eyes, startling, fearless, impossibly familiar, lock onto Michael through the frosted glass of his office door. She marches forward with the certainty of someone who has never learned that the world might not want her. "You're the most important man," she announces, loud enough that the entire floor hears. "Mommy said so." Michael's chest constricts. He can't move, can't breathe, and can only watch as this tiny hurricane in a pink coat holds out a wrinkled envelope, her handwriting looping across it in purple crayon, to Santa. But it's the other handwriting, the adult script beneath it, that makes his world narrow to a pinpoint. Luna Williams. The name detonates in his chest like a bomb he thought had been defused 6 years ago. His hands are trembling as he takes the envelope, and he hates himself for it, for the weakness, for the way her name still has the power to undo him. Inside, the letter is written in the delicate script he used to find on love notes tucked into his jacket pockets, on post-its stuck to his bathroom mirror, on napkins folded into his lunch. The handwriting he spent 6 years trying to forget. "Michael, I know you never wanted to hear from me again. I know what you think I did. But I need you to know the truth before it's too late. I'm dying. Stage 4. Weeks, maybe days. And the little girl holding this letter is Charlotte. She's 4 years old. Michael, she's yours. I never betrayed you. Everything you saw was a lie, and I can prove it. But right now, all I care about is her. She deserves to know her father. Even if you hate me, even if you never forgive me, please. Luna." The words blur. His vision tunnels. Everything he built, the walls, the armor, the carefully constructed emptiness, is collapsing like a building whose foundation just gave way. "Mr." Charlotte's voice pulls him back. She's picked up the letter he didn't realize he dropped, holding it out with both hands. "Mommy's in the hospital. She cries at night when she thinks I'm sleeping." Michael can't speak, can't think. The child before him has his eyes. His exact shade of blue, the same shape, the same way one corner tilts slightly higher when she's curious. How did he not see it the second she walked in? "Where's your mother?" His voice sounds like gravel, like rust, like something that hasn't been used in years. "Memorial Hospital. Room 412. Charlotte recites it perfectly, like she's been practicing. "She said if I found you, everything would be okay." Michael's hand moves before his brain catches up, pressing the intercom. "Bring the car around. Now." Within 3 minutes, they're in the back of his Bentley, Charlotte chattering about cartoons and how Mommy used to dance in the kitchen before she got too tired, before the hospital became her second home. Michael barely hears her. His mind is a hurricane of memory and rage. Luna at 22, laughing at the lakeside park, her head on his shoulder as they watched the sunset. "I want 3 kids," she'd said, "and a dog, and Sunday pancakes for the rest of our lives." The engagement ring he bought but never gave her, still locked in a safe he hasn't opened since. The night she disappeared, the photograph delivered to his office showing her in another man's arms, his mouth on her neck, her hand in his hair. The detective's report confirming she'd been seeing him for months. Michael's world shattering, crystallizing into the ice it's been ever since. But if she never betrayed him, if someone staged it all. The car pulls up to Memorial Hospital, and Michael's heart is a war drum threatening to crack his ribs. Charlotte's small hand slips into his, so tiny, so trusting, and squeezes. "She'll be so happy you came," she whispers. And Michael walks through those sliding doors knowing nothing will ever be the same again. The hospital smells like death wrapped in bleach. Michael has donated millions to this place, funded entire wings, research labs, equipment that keeps hearts beating when they should have stopped. But walking these corridors now, with Charlotte's hand in his, none of that matters. The nurses recognize him instantly, stepping aside like he's royalty, but their eyes linger on the little girl, on the way she swings his arm like this is an adventure instead of the end of the world. Room 412 is at the end of a hallway that feels 10 miles long. Michael's hand touches the doorknob, and for the first time since he was 23 years old, he's afraid. Not the calculated risk assessment fear of a business deal gone wrong or a rival making a move. This is primal. The kind of fear that lives in your DNA, that knows some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. Charlotte squeezes 2 of his fingers. "She's sleeping a lot now," she whispers, like she's sharing a secret. "But she'll wake up for us." He pushes the door open. The room is small, suffocatingly so for someone used to penthouses and boardrooms. Sterile white walls. Monitors that beep in a rhythm that sounds too slow, too labored. And 4-pole draped with clear bags of fluid that Michael knows, instinctively, aren't enough. Flowers on the windowsill, chrysanthemums, half dead, their petals browning at the edges. And Luna. God. Luna. She's thinner than he remembers, her dark hair spread across the pillow like silk on snow. Her collarbones are too prominent, her wrists too delicate where they rest on top of the white blanket. The 4 lines snake into her arms like invasive vines, and the monitors cast a green glow across skin that used to be golden, sun-kissed, alive. But even like this, pale and fragile and dying, she's the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. Her eyes open, blue, startling, exactly like Charlotte's. Exactly like his. Michael. His name breaks on her lips, fractures into 1,000 pieces of hope and grief and disbelief. 6 years of rage crashes over him. 6 years of loneliness, of believing she'd chosen someone else, of building walls so high even he couldn't see over them anymore. 6 years of waking up reaching for someone who wasn't there, of hating himself for still wanting her, of becoming someone he barely recognized just to survive the loss. And she's here, dying, looking at him like he's the answer to a prayer she stopped believing would be heard. "Mommy!" Charlotte breaks free, running to the bed with the fearlessness of a child who hasn't learned yet that love can be taken away. "I found him, just like you said." Luna's hand reaches out, trembling, weak, and cups Charlotte's face. But her eyes never leave Michael's. "You came," she whispers, and there are tears streaming down her face, disappearing into the pillow. "I didn't think you would. After everything after what you thought I never betrayed you. The words tumble out like she's been holding them in for 6 years, like saying them fast enough might make him believe. That photo was staged. Someone in your organization wanted me gone, Michael. They threatened my family, my sister, her daughter. They said they'd. Her voice cracks. I had no choice. Michael's blood turns to ice. His mind is already working, calculating, analyzing. Someone close to him. Someone with access. Someone who knew exactly how to destroy him. Luna's hand fumbles for something on the bedside table. A folder, manila and worn, like it's been opened and closed 1,000 times. I didn't know who it was then. I was terrified and young, and I ran. I thought if I disappeared, you'd be safe. They'd leave you alone. Her fingers shake as she holds the folder out. But I know now. I've been investigating for 3 years. Since I got diagnosed. Since I realized I was running out of time to make this right. Michael takes the folder. Inside, his world tilts on its axis. Text messages. Emails. Photographs. Not just the one he'd seen 6 years ago, but dozens more, different angles, different lighting. Metadata showing they'd been edited. Timestamps revealing they were taken on different days and stitched together. Bank transfers to the photographer. Receipts for the hotel room that was never actually rented. Phone records showing calls made from within his own organization. All of it leading back to one person. Natasha. His assistant. His confidant for the past 6 years. The woman who'd been there through everything, who'd helped him build his empire higher, who'd wormed her way into every corner of his life while he was too numb to notice. She wanted you for herself, Luna says quietly, watching his face. She thought if I was gone, if you believed I'd betrayed you, eventually you'd turn to her. And you almost did, didn't you? Michael can't speak. Can't breathe. The folder crumples slightly in his grip. Charlotte, oblivious to the gravity of this moment, climbs onto the hospital bed, careful of the wires and tubes. Daddy, are you going to make Mommy better? The word hits him like a bullet through the chest. Daddy. Luna's eyes meet his, and there's a question there, a desperate hope that terrifies him. Charlotte is yours, Michael. I've never been with anyone else. Not before you, not after. Only you. Her hand slides back into the folder, pulling out more papers. Medical records. Prenatal care documentation showing dates that align perfectly. DNA preliminary results from a test she'd run months ago, comparing Charlotte's blood to a sample she'd kept from a cut on Michael's hand 6 years ago. Kept it, saved it, like she always knew this day might come. The full paternity test can be done any time you want, Luna says, her voice barely a whisper now. But Michael, I'm telling you the truth. Always only you. Michael looks at Charlotte, really looks at her. Not just the eyes, but the shape of her nose, the stubborn set of her jaw, the way she tilts her head when she's thinking. He sees himself in every angle, every expression, every unconscious gesture. 4 years old. 4 years of her life he missed. First steps. First words. First everything. Because someone he trusted wanted him for herself. Because he'd been too broken to question, too destroyed to investigate, too willing to believe the worst because it was easier than hoping. His daughter reaches up and touches his face, her small hand impossibly gentle. You're crying, she says, surprised. Mommy said strong daddies don't cry. Mommy was wrong, Michael manages, his voice shattered. Strong daddies cry when they meet their daughters for the first time. Charlotte smiles, his smile, Luna's smile, something entirely her own, and wraps her arms around his neck. And Michael Clark, who hasn't cried since the night he thought Luna betrayed him, holds his daughter and weeps for everything they've lost and everything they've found and the impossibly short time they have left. Michael leaves Luna and Charlotte at the hospital 2 hours later, after Charlotte falls asleep curled against her mother's side, after Luna's eyes drift closed from exhaustion, after the nurse promises to call if anything changes. He kisses his daughter's forehead, the first time, and it feels like claiming something that was always his, and his hand lingers on Luna's for a moment too long, her fingers weakly squeezing back. "Go," she whispers, her eyes barely open. "Do what you need to do." She knows him. Even after 6 years, even after everything, she knows exactly what's coming next. The car ride back to his penthouse is a blur of city lights and rage, so cold it feels like frostbite spreading through his veins. His driver doesn't speak, knows better than to speak when Michael's jaw is set like that, when his eyes are that particular shade of empty that means someone's world is about to end. The elevator ride to the 47th floor feels like ascending to an execution. The penthouse doors open, and Natasha is there, draped across his leather sofa like she owns it, like she's earned the right to be here. Designer dress, something black and expensive that clings to every curve. Wine glass in hand, red as blood, her lipstick a perfect match. Hair swept up, diamonds at her throat. Gifts he'd given her over the years without really thinking about it, without realizing she was collecting pieces of him like trophies. "There you are," she says, her smile confident, practiced. "I was getting worried. You disappeared for hours without a word." She stands, setting the glass down with deliberate grace. "Security said you went to a hospital. Are you all right?" Michael closes the door behind him. Doesn't move deeper into the room. Just stands there, filling the space with a presence that makes the temperature drop 10 degrees. "You destroyed my life." His voice is arctic. Controlled fury that's more terrifying than shouting, than rage, than anything loud or obvious. This is the voice that makes grown men confess to things they didn't do just to make it stop. Natasha's smile doesn't falter. "Not yet." "Michael, what are you?" 6 years ago, he continues, each word precisely placed, you fabricated evidence. You hired a photographer. You threatened her family, a woman who'd never done anything except love me. You staged photographs, manipulated timestamps, created an entire fiction designed to make me believe she betrayed me. He takes a step forward. Then another. You made me believe the woman I loved, the woman I was going to marry, chose someone else. You watched me break. You held me while I grieved something that never happened. And then you positioned yourself as the only person I could trust. Natasha sets her wine glass down. And Michael sees it, the moment her mask cracks. Not surprise. Not shock. Not even the decency of denial. Just cold, calculated assessment. Like she's evaluating her next move in a chess game she thought she'd already won. "I gave you a better life, Michael." Her voice is steady, rational, like they're discussing quarterly projections instead of the destruction of everything he held sacred. Luna was weak. A liability. She would have held you back from everything you've become. She smooths her dress, the gesture practiced, controlled. You needed someone who understood your world. Someone who could stand beside you in it without flinching. You don't get to decide what I need. Don't I? Natasha tilts her head, and there's something dangerous in her eyes now, something that's been hiding behind 6 years of calculated devotion. I've been deciding for 6 years, Michael. Every deal I've negotiated, every enemy I've neutralized, every decision you've made, I was there, wasn't I? Guiding you, shaping you, making you into the man you are now. The man I am now, Michael says quietly, is someone I don't recognize. He pulls out his phone, opens it to the news alerts that have been buzzing non-stop for the past 3 hours. Shows her the screen. Mafia boss's secret love child. Dying woman's Christmas miracle. Michael Clark's hidden daughter. Photos of Charlotte entering his building. Grainy security footage leaked to every tabloid in the city. His private life, his daughter's face, Luna's tragedy. All of it spilled across the internet like blood. You leaked the story about Charlotte. It's not a question. He knows. He's always been good at reading people, at seeing the truth beneath the performance. He just chose not to see it with her. Chose to be blind because being blind was easier than being alone. Natasha doesn't deny it. She stands, moves toward him with the confidence of someone who thinks she still has leverage, still has power. Of course I did. Her hand reaches for his chest, fingertips grazing his shirt. You think I'm going to watch you play happy family with that dying woman? Watch you waste yourself on someone who's already gone? Michael catches her wrist. Not gently. She has weeks, Michael. Maybe days. Natasha's voice drops, intimate, like they're sharing a secret. And then what? You're left with a 4-year-old you don't know and memories of someone who abandoned you. She never abandoned me. You made sure of that. The grip on her wrist tightens just enough that her composure finally cracks. Her eyes widen, not fear yet, but the beginning of understanding that this isn't going how she planned. You're done, Michael says, his voice dropping to a whisper that somehow fills the entire penthouse. Out of my organization. Out of my life. Out of this building. He releases her wrist, steps back like touching her contaminates him. Security is already changing the locks. Your access has been revoked. Your account's frozen. Michael, she reaches for him again, desperation bleeding into her voice for the first time. You can't do this. I know too much. Secrets that could destroy you, that could... I don't care. 3 words. Simple. Final. Devastating. I don't care what you know. I don't care what you threaten. I don't care if you go to the press, the police, the devil himself. Michael moves past her, toward the window where this all began hours ago. You're nothing to me. You never were. Behind him, he hears it, the moment her control completely shatters. Threats tumbling out, then bargaining, then something that sounds like pleading. Promises that she can make this right, that she only did it because she loves him, that Luna was never good enough for him anyway. Michael doesn't turn around. Just stands at the window, watching snow fall over Manhattan, over the city he owns, over the life he's about to completely dismantle and rebuild. Get out, he says quietly, or I'll have security remove you. The silence that follows is long enough that he thinks she might refuse. Might force him to make good on the threat. But then he hears it, the click of her heels on marble, sharp and angry and final. The penthouse door opening, closing, the sound of a chapter ending. Michael stands alone in the elevator moments later, descending from the penthouse that Natasha will never enter again, watching his reflection in the polished steel doors. And for the first time in 6 years, he recognizes himself. The man who loved Luna is still there, beneath the ice, beneath the armor. Cracked, damaged, but still there. He should feel triumph, victory, the satisfaction of finally making someone pay for what they took from him. Instead, he feels grief. Grief for the 6 years he lost. Grief for the man he became in Luna's absence. Grief for his daughter's first 4 years, for the memories he'll never have, for the time he can never get back. And beneath it all, a terror so profound it threatens to consume him, that Luna might die before he can make any of this right. His phone rings. The hospital. His heart stops. Mr. Clark, the nurse's voice is urgent. You need to come back. Now. Michael doesn't remember the drive back. Doesn't remember telling his driver to run every red light. Doesn't remember the way the city blurred past like a watercolor painting left in the rain. He only remembers the terror, sharp and suffocating, that he's too late, that he wasted precious hours on revenge when he should have been at her bedside, that the last thing he said to Luna was, "Go do what you need to do," instead of, "I still love you," or "I'm sorry," or "Please don't leave me again." But when he crashes through the door of room 412, Luna is still breathing. The monitor beeps, erratic, wrong, too fast and then too slow, and there are more nurses now, a doctor adjusting medication, checking vitals with a face that's carefully neutral in the way medical professionals learn when the news is bad. Charlotte is awake, pressed into the corner by the window, her small body rigid with fear she's too young to fully understand but old enough to feel in her bones. "Daddy!" She runs to him the moment she sees him, launches herself into his arms with the force of someone who's been waiting for rescue. "Mommy's monitor was making scary sounds, and they made me move, and nobody will tell me what's happening." "I'm here," Michael says, holding her tight, his eyes on Luna. On the way her chest rises and falls too shallowly, on the sweat beading her forehead, on the way her hand clutches the blanket like she's trying to anchor herself to the world. "I've got you. Everything's going to be okay." He's lying. He knows he's lying. Charlotte probably knows he's lying. But sometimes lies are the only kindness left. The doctor approaches. Dr. Reeves, according to her badge, mid-50s, kind eyes that have seen too much death to be surprised by it anymore. "Mr. Clark, the cancer is spreading faster than we anticipated. The tumor's in her lungs." She pauses, glancing at Charlotte, choosing her words carefully. "We're making her comfortable, but we're running out of options." "How long?" Michael's voice is steady, but his hands are shaking where they hold his daughter. "Days. Maybe a week if we're fortunate. A week. 7 days. 168 hours to fit a lifetime into. Can I?" Michael's throat closes. "Can I have a moment with her?" Dr. Reeves nods, gestures to a nurse. "We'll take Charlotte to the family room. There's hot chocolate and—" "No!" Charlotte's grip on Michael tightens. "I want to stay with Mommy." "Charlotte!" Luna's voice, weak but commanding, cuts through the room. "Baby, go with the nice nurse. Daddy and I need to talk for just a few minutes. I promise I'm not going anywhere." Another lie. But Charlotte, who understands more than any 4-year-old should have to, nods slowly, kisses Michael's cheek, walks to the nurse with her shoulders squared like a soldier heading to battle. The door closes, and Michael is alone with Luna for the first time in 6 years. He crosses to her bedside, sits in the chair that's still warm from where Charlotte must have been curled up hours earlier. Luna's hand finds his immediately, her fingers cold and fragile, and Michael wraps both of his around it like he can transfer his warmth, his strength, his stubborn refusal to let her go. "You confronted her," Luna says. "Not a question." "Yes." "Good." A ghost of a smile. "I always knew you would. You never could let betrayal stand." Her thumb traces circles on his palm, a gesture so familiar it breaks something in his chest. "I'm sorry, Michael. For all of it. For believing their threats. for running instead of fighting, for taking 4 years of Charlotte's life from you. Stop. Michael leans forward, presses his forehead to their joined hands. Stop apologizing for being terrorized, for trying to protect your family, for surviving the only way you knew how. I should have trusted you to protect me. I should have looked harder for you, should have questioned the evidence, should have known in my bones that you could never. His voice breaks. I knew you. How did I not know it was a lie? Because you're human, Luna whispers. Because the evidence was perfect. Because Natasha knew exactly what you needed to see to break. Her free hand reaches up, cups his face, forces him to look at her. But you're here now. That's what matters. Michael can't speak, can only memorize her face, thinner, paler, but still Luna, still the woman who made him believe in Sunday pancakes and futures that stretched beyond the next business deal. I had the paternity test expedited, he finally says. 3 separate labs. All confirmed. He reaches into his jacket, pulls out the manila envelope that arrived this morning, hands it to her with shaking fingers. Charlotte is mine. 99.9% certainty. Luna opens it, even though she doesn't need to, even though she's always known. Tears stream down her face as she reads the results, her smile radiant despite everything. I knew you'd need proof. Need to see it in black and white before you could let yourself believe. I believe, Michael says, and it's the truth. I should have believed the moment I saw her eyes. Should have believed when she said, Daddy, like the word was made for me. He pauses, gathering courage for what comes next. I want to tell her. Officially. I want her to know I'm not just some man her mother knew. I want. Yes. Luna squeezes his hand. Yes. Michael. Tell her. She's been waiting her whole life to hear it. They find Charlotte in the family room, sitting at a small table with an untouched cup of hot chocolate, drawing with crayons that the nurse must have given her. She's sketching a tall man holding hands with a small girl, the same picture she was drawing days ago in Michael's office, but more detailed now, more real. Michael kneels beside her chair, his heart a war drum. Charlotte, can I talk to you for a minute? Her blue eyes, his eyes, look up, and there's something ancient in them, something that knows this conversation is important. Okay. Your mommy told you about daddies, right? About how every little girl has one. Charlotte nods, her expression serious. Mommy said my daddy was very important and very far away. She said he didn't know about me, but that he would have loved me if he did. She pauses, her small fingers gripping a purple crayon. She said when I was bigger, she'd take me to find him. Michael's throat closes. What if I told you? What if you didn't have to wait until you were bigger? Charlotte's eyes go wide. The crayon drops to the floor, rolling under the table. What do you mean? Michael pulls out the medical papers, simplified them, had Dr. Reeves help him translate the technical language into something a 4-year-old might understand. Do you know what these are? She shakes her head. These are special papers that tell us about families, about who belongs to who. His hands are shaking again. And Charlotte, these papers say that I'm your daddy, that I've been your daddy since the moment you were born, that you're my daughter. For a long moment, Charlotte just stares at him, processing, understanding, and then her face transforms, pure joy, uncomplicated by adult concepts of loss or grief or time stolen. Really? Her voice is a whisper, like she's afraid saying it too loud will make it disappear. You're really my daddy? Really? Michael's voice breaks. You've been my daughter this whole time. I just didn't know. But now I do. And Charlotte, he has to stop, has to swallow past the grief and rage and overwhelming love threatening to consume him. I am so sorry I wasn't there for your first 4 years. I would have been if I'd known. I would have been there for everything. Charlotte doesn't cry, doesn't hesitate, just launches herself into his arms with the full force of her small body, nearly knocking him backward onto the linoleum floor. Her arms wrap around his neck, impossibly tight, like she's been waiting her whole life for this exact moment. "Daddy," she whispers into his shoulder, testing the word, claiming it, making it real. And Michael Clark, who built an empire on ruthlessness, who turned his heart to ice to survive losing the woman he loved, who hasn't cried in 6 years until 3 days ago, holds his daughter and weeps. For the time they lost. For the time they have left. For this impossible, broken, beautiful family that's being formed in a hospital room while death waits patiently in the wings. They return to Luna's room together, Charlotte's hand in Michael's, and Luna is watching from her bed with tears streaming down her face. The family she thought was impossible, the family she'd dreamed of in those early terrifying months of pregnancy, the family she'd grieved for every day since, is forming before her eyes. Charlotte climbs onto the bed, careful of the wires, and curls against her mother's side. "Mommy, guess what? He's really my daddy. The papers say so." Luna's hand strokes Charlotte's hair, her eyes never leaving Michael's. "I know, baby. I've always known." Michael sits in the chair, close enough to touch them both, and for one perfect moment, everything is exactly as it should be. Then his phone buzzes. Once, twice, 3 times in rapid succession. He silences it, but not before seeing the preview of messages from his head of security, from his lawyer, from news outlets requesting comment. The media storm Natasha unleashed is gaining speed, becoming something uglier, more invasive. Mafia boss's secret love child. Dying woman's Christmas miracle. Photos of Charlotte, of Luna, of Michael entering the hospital. Speculation about their past, about the timeline, about what this means for his organization. Luna sees his face, understands immediately. It's getting worse. The world can think what it wants, Michael says, sliding his phone back into his pocket. I have my daughter. I have you. Nothing else matters. But even as he says it, Luna's monitor starts beeping. Erratic, wrong, the same terrifying rhythm from hours before. Nurses rush back in, and Michael grabs Charlotte, pulls her away from the bed, holds her as she watches her mother's eyes flutter closed. Dr. Reeves appears, her face grim, her voice quiet as she checks monitors and adjusts medication. When she finally turns to Michael, her expression tells him everything before she speaks. The cancer is spreading faster than we thought. The tumors are compressing her lungs. We can keep her comfortable, but Michael, she pauses, glances at Charlotte, lowers her voice to a whisper. You need to prepare yourself. And her. This is moving much faster than any of us anticipated. Michael looks at Luna, unconscious now, her breathing shallow and labored, and then at Charlotte in his arms, who's watching her mother with eyes too old for her face. How long? He asks, though he's not sure he wants the answer. Hours, Dr. Reeves says quietly. Maybe through the night if we're fortunate. I'm sorry. And Michael realizes with a clarity that feels like drowning. He found them. He found his family, his daughter, the woman he never stopped loving. Just in time to lose them all over again. 2 weeks later, Luna is dying faster. The ICU smells like industrial cleaner and something underneath it, Something organic and wrong that no amount of bleach can mask. Michael has memorized every sound: the pneumatic hiss of the ventilator, the steady drip of medication through the floor, the alarm that screams when Luna's oxygen drops too low. He's heard that alarm 17 times in the past 48 hours. Charlotte doesn't understand ICU rules about visiting hours. Neither does Michael. Money talks, even to hospital administrators who want to cite regulations. So she stays, curled on a cot in the corner, surrounded by coloring books and stuffed animals that Michael's assistant keeps bringing, as if toys could fill the space where a mother should be. Every evening, Michael carries Charlotte to Luna's bedside, lifts her up so she can see past the maze of tubes and wires. Charlotte talks to her mother in a steady stream about the pancakes Michael's chef made for breakfast, burnt because Michael tried to help, about the park they visited but left early because Michael kept checking his phone, about the picture she drew, a family holding hands under a yellow sun. Luna never responds. But the monitors spike sometimes, heart rate climbing just slightly, and Michael chooses to believe she hears. His empire runs on autopilot. Conference calls conducted in hushed tones from the hallway. Contracts signed on clipboards balanced on his knee. His second-in-command handling everything that used to consume his every waking hour. None of it matters. Not the deals, not the money, not the power he spent 6 years accumulating like armor against the pain of losing her. He's losing her anyway. Dr. Reeves appears at 3 a.m. on the 14th night, her face carrying news before her mouth does. "Mr. Clark, the latest scans." She pauses, glances at Charlotte asleep on the cot, lowers her voice. "The tumors aren't responding to treatment. They're growing despite everything we're doing." Michael's hands curl into fists. "Then do something different. Try something else. There has to be." "We're doing everything we can," Dr. Reeves says, and there's genuine grief in her voice. "I'm sorry." Charlotte stirs in her sleep, murmurs, "Mommy," and Michael's chest caves in. He returns to Luna's bedside after Dr. Reeves leaves. Takes her hand. Cold, so cold, like touching marble. The first time he's really held it since she disappeared, since he thought she betrayed him, since he turned his heart to ice to survive the loss. "You're not going anywhere," he whispers, even though she can't hear, even though the monitors say otherwise. "I lost you once because I believed lies. I'm not losing you again." But Luna's chest rises and falls too shallowly, and Michael knows the truth. Sometimes love isn't enough. At 4 a.m., Luna's eyes open, lucid for the first time in 3 days. Michael! His name is barely a breath, but he hears it like thunder. "I'm here." He leans close, his forehead nearly touching hers. "I'm right here. Charlotte." Luna's eyes drift to the cot, to their daughter sleeping in a shaft of moonlight. "Promise me." Her fingers tighten weakly on his. "If something happens, promise me you'll take care of her. Promise me she'll know she was loved." "She'll know," Michael says, his voice breaking. "But you're going to be here to tell her yourself. I'm getting you every treatment, every specialist." "Michael!" Luna's other hand touches his face, and her smile is sad, knowing. "We both know." "No." He cuts her off, stands abruptly. "No. There's a new trial. Just approved. Experimental treatment, barely tested, but it's showing promise for late-stage patients. I've already made calls." "Michael, I'm not giving up on you." His voice is steel, is command, is desperation wrapped in certainty. "Not again. Never again." Dr. Reeves returns 30 minutes later with paperwork. Waivers that essentially say the treatment could kill Luna faster than the cancer. Consent forms that require signatures in triplicate. Risk assessments that make Michael's blood run cold. He signs every one. Do whatever it takes, he tells Dr. Reeves, and his hand doesn't shake. Whatever it costs. Whatever the risk. Save her. 6 weeks later, Luna is sitting up in bed, laughing. The sound is unfamiliar. Michael has to pause in the doorway just to process it. Laughter. Real, genuine, unforced joy coming from a woman who was supposed to be dead a month ago. Charlotte is on the bed beside her, acting out some elaborate story involving princesses and dragons, using stuffed animals as props, and Luna is watching her daughter with eyes that are clear, alert, alive. Dr. Reeves appears beside Michael, tablet in hand, and her smile is cautious but genuine. The latest scans came back this morning. The tumors are shrinking. All of them. She pauses, shaking her head like she can't quite believe what she's saying. Mr. Clark, this is remarkable progress. We're not out of the woods yet, but this is beyond anything we hoped for. Michael doesn't respond. Can't. He's watching Luna reach up to tuck Charlotte's hair behind her ear, watching the color in her cheeks that wasn't there 6 weeks ago, watching her breathe without the mechanical assistance of machines. The 4 lines are gone, removed one by one over the past 2 weeks. The ventilator disconnected. The monitors reduced from a symphony of warnings to a simple heartbeat tracker. She's coming back. Daddy! Charlotte spots him, launches herself off the bed and into his arms. Mommy ate a whole sandwich today, and she walked to the bathroom by herself. The magic is working. The magic is working, Michael repeats, his voice rough, and meets Luna's eyes over their daughter's head. Luna's smile is radiant, transformative. This is the woman he fell in love with at 17, not the pale, dying ghost in a hospital bed, but Luna Williams in full color, in full life, returning to him like spring after the longest winter. That night, after Charlotte falls asleep on the cot, Luna asks him to sit. Her voice is stronger now, but there's something underneath it. Nervousness, maybe, or the weight of words held too long. There's something I need to tell you, she says, her hands twisting the blanket. About why I really left. Michael tenses. I thought I knew everything. Natasha, the threats, the staged photos. That's not the whole truth. Luna takes a breath, and it's steady, full, the breath of someone whose lungs are remembering how to function. Michael, 6 years ago, before the photo, before Natasha's threats, I discovered I was pregnant. The world tilts. Michael's grip on the chair arms tightens until his knuckles go white. I was going to tell you that night, Luna continues, her eyes on her hands. I had it all planned. Dinner at our favorite restaurant. I even wrapped the pregnancy test in a little box with a bow. Her smile is bittersweet. But Natasha got to me first. What do you mean she got to you first? Luna reaches for the bedside drawer, pulls out a manila folder Michael hasn't seen before, opens it to reveal photographs. Her father, shaking hands with someone Michael recognizes. Vincent Castellano, head of a rival family. Photos of money changing hands, of documents being signed, of her father's face twisted in fear. My dad was in debt, Luna says quietly. Bad debt to bad people. He'd been taking money from the Castellanos to cover gambling losses. And Natasha, she had proof. Photos, bank records, everything needed to send him to prison or worse. Michael's mind is racing, calculating, understanding. She blackmailed you. She gave me a choice. Luna's voice breaks. Leave Michael and disappear, or she'd destroy my father. Send the evidence to the police, to your organization, to Vincent Castellano himself. My dad would have been killed, Michael. Or imprisoned. My sister, she was only 16. What would have happened to her? You could have told me. But even as Michael says it, he knows why she didn't. Knows that Natasha would have been watching, waiting, ready to follow through on her threats. If I told you, you would have protected me. And in doing so, you would have exposed yourself, your organization, started a war that could have killed hundreds. Luna's hand touches his face. I couldn't let that happen. So I left. I took the pregnancy test that was supposed to be a celebration, and I ran. Michael sees it now. Luna at 22, pregnant and terrified, making an impossible choice to protect everyone she loved. Where did you go? A women's shelter in Boston, initially. Then a tiny apartment in Philadelphia. I worked 2 jobs, waitressing during the day, cleaning offices at night. I was 8 months pregnant before I could afford a proper prenatal visit. Her voice is matter-of-fact, but Michael can hear the years of struggle underneath. Charlotte was born in a charity hospital. I held her and told her about her father, about the most important man in the world who didn't know she existed. What did you tell her about me? The truth. Luna's smile is soft, remembering that you were strong and brilliant and capable of such love it could move mountains. That if you knew about her, you'd love her more than anything in the world. That one day, when it was safe, I'd find a way to bring her to you. Michael's throat closes. 4 years of Charlotte's life. First steps taken in a Philadelphia apartment he's never seen. First words spoken to a mother who was working herself to exhaustion. First birthdays celebrated with second-hand toys and homemade cake. All of it happening while he was building his empire on ice and grief. The letter, he says hoarsely. Charlotte said she wrote a letter to Santa. Luna nods. 6 months ago, when I got the diagnosis, Charlotte was asking about you more and more. She's 4, old enough to notice other kids of fathers, to wonder why hers was so far away. She pauses, brushing tears from her cheeks. She asked if she could write you a letter, like to Santa. She said maybe if she wished hard enough, you'd come find us. So you let her. I let her. And when I knew I was running out of time, when the doctors gave me weeks instead of months, I told her where to find you. I gave her your building address. And Luna's voice breaks completely. I had faith that the man I loved was still in there, underneath everything. That you'd protect her when I couldn't. Michael stands abruptly, paces to the window because he can't sit still, can't contain the rage and grief and overwhelming love coursing through him. 6 years. 6 years stolen by Natasha's cruelty and ambition. 6 years of Luna struggling alone, raising their daughter in poverty while he was drowning in money and emptiness. I should have looked for you, he says, his forehead pressed against the cold glass. Should have known something was wrong. Should have trusted what we had instead of what I saw. Michael! Luna's voice draws him back. She's reaching for something else in the drawer, a small wooden box, worn at the edges. Come here. He crosses to the bed, and Luna opens the box. Inside, every love note he ever wrote her, folded carefully and tied with ribbon. Movie ticket stubs from their dates. A pressed flower from the lakeside park where they had their first kiss. A photo booth strip showing them at 17, laughing, unaware of the future waiting to destroy them. I kept them all, Luna whispers. Every piece of us. Because, Michael, I never stopped loving you. Not for a single day. Even when I thought I'd never see you again, even when I was telling Charlotte bedtime stories about the father she might never meet, I loved you. Michael takes the box with shaking hands. Sees his own handwriting on notes he wrote when he was 21, before the world got complicated. Luna, you make everything beautiful. Even Mondays. I carried a ring for 6 years, he says quietly. In my pocket every single day. The ring I bought to propose to you. Even when I thought I hated you, I couldn't let it go. Luna's eyes widen. You kept it. I kept it. Michael reaches into his jacket, the same jacket he's worn for 6 weeks straight, sleeping in chairs, living in this hospital room. Pulls out the velvet box that's been wearing a hole in the lining. Because some part of me always knew. Some part of me that Natasha couldn't touch, that the lies couldn't reach, knew you were worth waiting for. He opens the box. The diamond catches the fluorescent light, throws rainbows across the white hospital walls. Michael, Luna's voice is awe and tears and 6 years of grief being transformed into something that looks like hope. Not yet, he says, closing the box and returning it to his pocket. Not in a hospital room. Not when you're still recovering. When you're well, when you're strong enough to walk through the park where we met, when Charlotte can be there to see it, then I'll ask. And Luna, his hand covers hers, warm and certain. You better say yes. Luna laughs through her tears, that sound that's become Michael's new favorite music. That's not how proposals work. I don't care how they work. I care that we have time for one. That I found you before it was too late. He leans down, presses his lips to her forehead, gentle, reverent, a promise. That we get to have a future instead of just a past. Charlotte stirs on the cot, murmurs something about dragons, and settles back into sleep. Michael and Luna watch their daughter breathe, and for the first time in 6 years, Michael lets himself believe in tomorrow. Spring arrives like an apology. The lakeside park is drowning in cherry blossoms, pink and white petals drifting through the air like snow, catching in Charlotte's hair as she runs ahead, her yellow dress bright as sunshine against the green grass. She's chasing butterflies with the single-minded determination of someone who believes anything can be caught if you just try hard enough. "Daddy, look!" she shouts, pointing at a monarch landing on a flower. "It's wearing orange, just like in my book." Michael watches her, this miracle in motion, and feels something in his chest that he thought had died 6 years ago. Joy. Simple, uncomplicated, the kind that doesn't need justification or analysis. Just his daughter, healthy and laughing, on a spring morning that smells like rain and new beginnings. Luna walks beside him, his arm around her shoulders, and she's still thin, still recovering, still fragile in ways that make him want to wrap her in bubble wrap and never let the world touch her again. But she's here. Alive. The doctors used the word remission last week with cautious optimism. Said if she stays stable for another 6 months, she might have years. Actual years, not the weeks they predicted. "Thank you," Luna whispers, leaning into him. "For everything. For believing me. For fighting for us when it would have been easier to walk away." Michael stops walking. Turns to face her under a cherry tree that's shedding petals like blessings. "I should have fought 6 years ago. Michael, I should have trusted you. Should have questioned the evidence instead of accepting it. Should have looked for you instead of turning myself into." He gestures vaguely at himself, at the man he became. "Whatever I became." Luna's hand touches his face, her thumb tracing the scar on his jaw that wasn't there 6 years ago. "We can't change the past. No. But I can spend the rest of my life making up for it." You don't need to make up for anything. Luna's smile is soft, knowing. We have now, Michael. We have Charlotte. We have each other. That's enough. But it's not enough. Not for Michael. Not when he's carried the weight of what he lost for 6 years, when he spent 72 nights sleeping in a hospital chair terrified of losing her again, when every time Charlotte calls him Daddy, it's a reminder of everything he missed. He reaches into his pocket. The velvet box is there, where it's been every single day since he was 22 years old. The weight of it suddenly feels different, not like an anchor dragging him down, but like a promise waiting to be kept. Luna's breath catches when she sees it. Michael, I bought this when we were 22, he says, opening the box with hands that are surprisingly steady. The diamond catches the sunlight filtering through cherry blossoms, throws light across Luna's face like stars. I was going to propose the week before you disappeared. Had reservations at that Italian place you loved, the one with the terrible breadsticks and the waiter who kept trying to guess where we were from. Luna laughs, a sound halfway between joy and tears. Antonio. He thought you were Swedish. He thought I was Swedish, Michael agrees, and the memory is sweet instead of bitter now. I've carried this ring every day since. Through every meeting, every deal, every moment I thought I'd moved on. Even when I tried to convince myself I hated you, I couldn't let it go. He drops to one knee on the grass. Cherry blossoms fall around them like nature itself is witnessing this moment, like the universe is collectively holding its breath. Luna Williams, Michael says, and his voice doesn't shake, doesn't falter, just carries across the morning air like a vow. Will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life making up for the years we lost? Will you let me be the father Charlotte deserves and the man you always believed I could be? Luna is crying, actually crying, tears streaming down her face, her hands covering her mouth. Yes, she manages. Yes, Michael. Yes, 1,000 times yes. The ring slides onto her finger like it was always meant to be there. 6 years late, but finally where it belongs. Daddy! Charlotte's voice cuts through the moment. She's running back toward them, her butterfly escaped, her eyes wide with understanding that's beyond her 5 years. Are you asking Mommy to marry you? Like in the princess movies. Michael pulls her into his arms, lifts her up so she's eye level with him and Luna. I am. Is that okay with you? Charlotte's face splits into the biggest smile he's ever seen. Does that mean we're going to be a real family? Like with a house and a dog and pancakes on Sundays? Luna laughs, reaching out to include Charlotte in their embrace. That's exactly what it means, baby. With the good pancakes, not the burnt ones Daddy makes? Hey, Michael protests, but he's grinning. Those were practice pancakes. Charlotte throws her arms around both their necks, and for one perfect, crystalline moment, everything is exactly as it should be. A family, broken and rebuilt, scarred but healing, held together by something stronger than the lies that tried to tear them apart. They walk back through the park slowly, Charlotte between them, holding both their hands and chattering about the wedding. Can I wear a princess dress? Can we have chocolate cake? Can the butterflies come? Luna's ring catches the light with every step, and Michael can't stop looking at it, at the proof that this is real, that he didn't lose her, that they get to have a future. As they pass the lake, the same one where they had their first kiss at 17, where Luna told him she wanted 3 kids and Sunday pancakes, Michael catches their reflection in the still water. A family. Whole. Complete. Not the fractured pieces of what could have been, but something real and solid and true. The man in the reflection looks different from the one who stood at his penthouse window 6 years ago. Less cold. Less empty. More like the boy who fell in love with a girl in this exact park and thought he understood what forever meant. He understands it now. Forever isn't the absence of pain or loss or fear. It's choosing to love someone anyway. It's carrying a ring for 6 years because some part of you always knew they were worth waiting for. It's a little girl brave enough to deliver a letter to a stranger because her mother taught her that love was stronger than fear. What are you thinking? Luna asks, following his gaze to their reflection. That I'm the luckiest man alive, Michael says honestly. That I found you just in time. That Charlotte saved us both. Luna squeezes his hand. She did, didn't she? Our Christmas miracle. Charlotte looks up, curious. Mommy, why do you call me a Christmas miracle? Because you are one, sweetheart, Luna says, kneeling down to Charlotte's level. You were brave enough to find Daddy when nobody else could. You brought us back together. That's the best kind of miracle there is. Charlotte considers this seriously. So I'm like a superhero? Michael laughs, scoops her up onto his shoulders. Exactly like a superhero. The most important one in the world. And as they walk out of the park, cherry blossoms falling like confetti around them, Michael realizes something. 6 years ago, he thought losing Luna destroyed him. But standing here now, with his daughter on his shoulders and his fiancée's hand in his, he understands the truth. He wasn't destroyed. He was just waiting. Waiting for a little girl in a pink coat to walk into his office with a letter written in crayon. Waiting for the courage to believe that love doesn't die, it just hibernates, waiting for spring. Waiting to become the man Luna always believed he could be. And now, finally, the waiting is over. Charlotte is asleep in her new room, the one Michael spent 3 weeks personally designing, with walls painted the exact shade of sky blue she requested, with shelves full of books and toys and the stuffed animals that multiply like rabbits every time he walks past a store. Her drawing of the tall man and small girl is framed now, hanging above her bed like a prophecy fulfilled. Michael and Luna stand in the doorway, watching their daughter breathe, and the silence between them is comfortable, complete. She asked me today if she'll remember, Luna says quietly. The hospital. Being scared. Thinking I was going to die. Michael's hand finds the small of her back. What did you tell her? That memories fade, but love doesn't. That when she's older, she'll remember the important parts, that we fought for her, that we chose her, that we never gave up. Luna leans her head against his shoulder. Was that the right answer? It was perfect. Michael pulls Charlotte's door halfway closed, leaves it open just enough that the hallway light spills across her pillow. Just enough that if she wakes up scared, she'll see she's not alone. They move to the living room, to the floor-to-ceiling windows where this all began. The same view, Manhattan stretched out below them like a carpet of stars, the city that never sleeps glittering in the darkness. But everything looks different now. Less cold. Less like a prison Michael built to keep the world out, and more like a starting point for something new. Luna curls into the leather sofa, and Michael sits beside her, pulling her feet into his lap like they used to when they were 20 and thought they had forever. Her engagement ring catches the city lights, throws small constellations across the ceiling. Do you think about it? Luna asks. How different everything would be if Charlotte hadn't found that letter. If she'd been too scared to walk into your building. Michael does think about it. Has thought about it every day since a little girl in a pink coat handed him an envelope that rewrote his entire life. Then I would have stayed broken forever, he says quietly. Would have kept building walls and counting money and pretending I didn't feel anything. Would have died alone in this penthouse, surrounded by everything that meant nothing. You're being dramatic. I'm being honest. Michael's hands work gentle circles into her ankles, a gesture so familiar it feels like muscle memory. Charlotte saved us both, Luna. She was brave enough to believe in something I'd forgotten existed. What's that? That people can come back from the dead. Luna's laugh is soft, sad. I almost didn't, though. If that treatment hadn't worked. But it did. Michael's voice is firm, allowing no room for alternative histories. You're here. You're in remission. The doctors say if you stay stable another 6 months, they'll start using words like survivor instead of patient. 6 months, Luna repeats, like tasting the words. That feels like forever and no time at all. Then we'll take it one day at a time. 1 week. 1 month. Michael meets her eyes. I spent 6 years living in the past. I'm done with that. From now on, I only care about tomorrow. The tabloids have mostly moved on, found new scandals to dissect, new lives to invade. But occasionally Michael still sees the headlines when his assistant compiles the morning press. Mafia boss finds redemption. Christmas miracle saves secret family. From Ice King to Father of the Year. He doesn't care anymore. Let them write what they want. Let them speculate about his organization, about his past, about the empire he's systematically dismantling. The legitimate businesses will remain. The real estate, the investments, the ventures that don't require looking over his shoulder. But the darker dealings, the gray areas that made him rich and powerful and hollow, he's walking away. You don't have to give up everything, Luna says, reading his mind the way she always could. I know what your organization means to you. What you built. I built it to survive losing you, Michael says bluntly. Now that I have you back, I don't need it anymore. I won't have Charlotte growing up in that world. Won't have her asking questions I can't answer honestly. Michael! I'm not going soft, he interrupts, and there's a hint of his old steel in his voice. I'm being smart. Strategic. The legitimate businesses are worth billions. That's enough. More than enough. Luna studies him, her blue eyes, Charlotte's eyes, seeing through him like glass. You're scared. Terrified, Michael admits. Every day. That the cancer will come back. That I'll wake up and this will all be a dream. That Charlotte will ask me about the man I used to be, and I won't know how to explain why I became him. Then tell her the truth when she's old enough. That you made mistakes. That grief made you into someone you didn't recognize. That love brought you back. Luna's hand touches his face. Teach her that people can change. That our mistakes don't define us forever. That redemption is real. Michael captures her hand, presses his lips to her palm. When did you get so wise? Around the time I learned I was dying. Mortality has a way of clarifying things. Luna's smile is wry. Though I'm hoping the wisdom sticks now that I'm sticking around. You better stick around. We're getting married in 6 weeks. The wedding is planned for summer. Small ceremony at the lakeside park where it all began, just close friends and family. Charlotte as flower girl, wearing the princess dress she's already tried on 17 times. Michael in a suit that costs more than most people's cars, but who cares about that when Luna will be walking toward him in white, when he'll finally get to say the vows he wrote 6 years ago and updated every night in a hospital chair. 6 weeks, Luna repeats, and there's wonder in her voice. Michael Clark, Are you nervous about getting married? Terrified, he says again, but he's smiling. What if I mess up the vows? What if Charlotte drops the flowers? What if it rains? Then we'll stand in the rain. Luna leans forward, kisses him softly. We've survived worse than weather. They have. Cancer and lies and 6 years of believing the worst. They've survived betrayal and separation and a little girl's journey through Manhattan to find her father. They've survived everything that should have destroyed them and somehow came out the other side still capable of this, sitting on a sofa, planning a future, believing in tomorrows. Later, when Luna is asleep, really asleep, the deep sleep of someone whose body is healing instead of dying, Michael returns to the window. The same spot where he stood that first night, whiskey untouched in his hand, Charlotte's letter about to shatter his carefully constructed emptiness. He pulls out his phone, scrolls through the photos his assistant has been taking without him noticing. Charlotte at the park. Luna laughing. The three of them at dinner, Charlotte with sauce on her nose. Normal moments, ordinary moments, the kind Michael thought he'd never have. There's one photo from yesterday, Luna and Charlotte at the hospital for a routine checkup, both of them making silly faces at the camera. The background shows Dr. Reeves laughing, shaking her head at their antics. It's a far cry from the first time Michael saw Luna in that hospital, pale and dying and barely holding on. His phone buzzes. A text from his lawyer. Natasha's lawsuit dismissed. Judge ruled in your favor on all counts. She's done. Michael deletes the message without responding. Natasha is a chapter that's closed, a cautionary tale about what happens when ambition overrides humanity. He heard she left the city, relocated to somewhere warm and far away. Good. She can stay there. The velvet box is no longer in his pocket. The ring is on Luna's finger where it belongs, where it should have been 6 years ago. But Michael finds himself checking his pocket anyway, the absence of that familiar weight both strange and liberating. 6 years he carried that ring. 6 years of believing love was something that died, something that couldn't survive lies and distance and the ice he wrapped around his heart for protection. He was wrong. Love doesn't die. It just waits, hibernates, holds on through darkness and grief and the moments when you're absolutely certain there's no point in holding on anymore. And sometimes, if you're extraordinarily, impossibly lucky, love sends a 4-year-old girl in a pink coat to deliver a message written in crayon to remind you that the word "daddy" can heal wounds you didn't know you still had. Michael looks out at Manhattan, his city, the empire he built on ice and determination and the stubborn refusal to feel anything. Tomorrow, he'll start the process of selling off the darker pieces of that empire. Next week, Charlotte starts kindergarten, and he'll be there on the first day, holding her hand, being the father he should have been from the beginning. In 6 weeks, he'll marry the woman he should have married 6 years ago. But tonight, right now, Michael just stands at the window and lets himself feel grateful. For second chances. For little girls who believe in Santa. For love that refuses to die even when everything says it should. Behind him, he hears Luna stirring, her voice sleepy. Michael, come to bed. And Michael Clark, who spent 6 years as the coldest man in New York, who built walls so high even he forgot what they were protecting, turns away from the window and walks toward the bedroom, toward the woman who taught him that some things are worth the wait. Toward home. Sometimes healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means remembering differently. It means taking the broken pieces of who you were and building something stronger from the fragments. Michael and Luna lost 6 years to lies and fear and the cruelty of someone who thought love was something to be manipulated. But they found their way back through the courage of a 4-year-old girl who believed her father was worth finding. What would you have done in their place? Would you have fought, run, trusted the evidence, or trusted your heart? If this story touched you, if you felt Charlotte's bravery, Luna's sacrifice, or Michael's transformation, let us know where you're watching from in the comments below. Your stories, your reactions, they're what make this community more than just viewers. You make us a family. Hit that subscribe button. Your support keeps these stories alive, helps us tell more journeys that stay with you long after the last word fades. Tomorrow, we have another story waiting. Another journey. Another reminder that even in our darkest moments, hope is still possible. Thank you for being part of our storytelling family. See you tomorrow.